Welcome back to ZANTASTIC. This is the podcast where we talk about what makes you fantastic. And why do we do that? Because when you realize who you really are, it solves a lot of problems. Now, I've been talking over the past week with a bunch of people who have either been downsized, restructured out, or are seeing all of the restructuring and are choosing to go find another job. So people who are forced to go look for another job or people who are choosing to do so. There's a lot of change happening, especially in the tech space, that is making people wonder what's next. What should they be doing? In one of the conversations I had, somebody asked me how I am so confident. And I was like, what do I even say? Am I really that confident? I guess that I am. To other people, they see me as being very confident, very adept, very strong, because I've had a lot of experiences that have made me so. But I am always on the bleeding edge of me, right? I'm always looking for the next thing, the next opportunity, the next way to make an impact. I am always future focused. And so that automatically puts me into a place where I don't necessarily feel confident because I am going into unknowns. The only way we can really develop confidence is to look at our experiences, look at ourselves in the totality of who we really are. Because when you do that, you start realizing that you are one of one. Now, if there's someone that you work with, let's call him John. And John is an adept programmer, does everything right, always nails it with all of his code, is very knowledgeable. And you compare yourself to John and say, well, I'm not as good as John. Well, of course you're not, because John is one of one. And if you go into John's world and try to be John, you're never going to be that because you're not fully claiming all that you are. When you feel a lack of confidence, oftentimes it is because you are comparing yourself to someone else. When you are comparing yourself to someone else, you are automatically putting yourself as the underdog because you are establishing that person's characteristics, their one of one characteristics, and saying, I don't measure up. And you never will because you're comparing yourself to someone that you are not. You are not fully claiming all that you are, all that you have been, all that you've done, all that you are capable of. The only way to really find confidence is to claim the full self, claim who you really are at your core. Even those things that maybe you don't express all the time, they make you who you are. Now, you may work as a programmer, for example, and there's not a lot of room for things like writing. Although I think that programmers that know how to write and actually comment their code and actually document their code have a leg up. So if you're a writer and a programmer, you are one of one, and you should be very confident with those skills. But even if that's what you do for a living and that's how you earn a paycheck, you might be very interested in skydiving, for example. We'll just throw that out there. That adds another layer of complexity to your one-of-one experience, something that maybe John doesn't have because he's never going to do anything like that, too risky. But you understand that with risk comes immense rewards, and you exhibit that and have experienced that. That adds to your one-of-one characteristics. So what you can do if you are feeling a lack of confidence is look at all of the things that you've accomplished and really go to the places where you feel like you've failed. Because I'll tell you what, you probably haven't failed as bad as you thought you did. During a failure, when you're soaking in the midst of failure, it feels like, oh my gosh, I have failed completely. This is just so wrong. But with hindsight, you can look back and see that it wasn't exactly failure that you experienced more than it was redirection. So you are going down a path and there's a huge boulder in the way and it feels like, wow, I've chosen the wrong path. I've gone the wrong way. I've done the wrong thing. But all you had to do is go around the boulder, find a new path, find a new way to get to the goal that you were trying to achieve. Failure is just feedback. It is just information. It is just all of those things that you need in order to get where you want to go and have the experiences that are going to give you what you need that you don't even know that you need yet. Now, I have another friend who just out of the blue got this really amazing job offer. And it was just because this organization saw what this person was doing and said, we want you. Just go talk to this guy. You'll get hired immediately. We need you. We know what you have to offer. We know who you are. And this person came to me and said, I need advice. I have to make this decision. And I'm like, you don't know what this is going to turn into. What does it feel like right now? First of all, are you doing it because of the money, or are you doing it because you think you can have fun or that there's an opportunity there? Because don't do it just for the money, because everything that you do is colored by the intention with which you do it. If you do something just for money, it ends up being just for money. If you do it because I think I can make an impact, I think I can help people, I think I can have fun doing this, I think this is going to be interesting, those types of things, yes, go for it. So I advised my friend to try it for 6 months. They already have a business that they've built. They're going to have to take some break away from that business. But I'm like, try it for 6 months. Just see what happens. Because my intuition tells me that this is not the end goal. You're not going to stay with this company for years upon years. But just by being there, it's going to open up something that you can't see yet. So just go try it. If it's that easy to get this job and it is that much money and you think you can have fun, why not? Give it a go. Go in there with confidence, because you are one of one and somebody has seen what you have to offer and they want you. When you're confident in who you are, then you can open up to those kinds of opportunities. But yeah, we just don't know what an opportunity is going to bring us. We don't know how failure is going to be the feedback we need to get to the thing that we want. Now, my friend wants to, build his business, but this one job just kind of has almost perfect timing. He's going into a slower season, and it just feels like an interesting experience. It's not failure walking away from his own business for a few months to see if this opens up something else. Just go see, at least have some conversations. There might be red flags when you talk to them. You don't know. But when those things show up, pull the thread, right? But yeah, you just don't know what an opportunity, a failure, what any of this could actually turn into. This concept in NLP is called reframing. We think something is a failure, but when you reframe it and see it as just feedback, as just something that you need, a piece of information, an experience, a redirection that you need to go somewhere else, by reframing all failures that way, you realize that when you look over the course of your life, there are no failures. There are just different experiences, different ways of seeing things, different ways for the universe to show up and give you information that you're going to need later. So there is no failure. And when you're one of one and you fully own who you really are, how can you fail? Because you are just being you. You are being 100% you. The only time that you can really fail is when you sacrifice that one of one characteristic of who you really are in order to fit into, that round hole when you're a square peg. When you change who you are in order to fit into a place where you don't belong, and you don't belong there, that's failure, because you're failing yourself. You're failing the entirety of who you really are. And I know corporate America is kind of like that. They want you for a job. They want you for one set thing. There's a job description and your resume needs to match to it, right? So there is that round hole that you sometimes have to fit into. But once you're into that round hole, make sure you bring those corners in. Make sure you bring the rest of you in. And if you find an organization that says, we like your square peg, we're going to make a square hole for you to fit in, for you to not just fit in, but for you to expand the role into encompassing all that you are, all that you're interested in. Because that's the thing. You don't want to just fit in and just stay there. That is not the nature of humanity, and it is not the nature of who you are. You are constantly expanding, or at least you should be, because you came here to fully experience life. And if you are not fully experiencing that expansion, everything's on its way to somewhere, and that includes you. It's mostly a further exploration of who you are, that core self, and expanding that out beyond the patterns, beyond the limitations, beyond the things that you've told yourself that you have to do or that you should do, into a place where you know who you are and you expand that and you touch more people. You expand your market. You expand the knowledge of what you are capable of. Now, I've done that 1,000 times and in ways that I never thought were even possible. If you told me that I was going to be like director of marketing at a security company or director of marketing for a web development platform, I would have said, yeah, no, not for me. I already did that. Nope, not the route that I'm going to go. I already did corporate America. I worked for a Fortune 100 company's website and built that. I just didn't want to do it. But I'm glad I had those experiences, not because of the corporate monoliths. That was the part that always drives me away, but because of the people I met there, because of the experiences that I had, because of the expansion of knowing that I do have something to bring to the table. Now, 13 years ago, I decided to stop coding altogether. I was just like, I'm tired of maintaining code. I am just going to use other people's products because it's just going to be easier. Somebody else can maintain the code. I can focus on the business aspect of things. And I thought other people were better coders than me. In my mind, I had a limitation of what I was capable of. And then when I got into security, I'm like, oh, geez, maybe other people weren't as good of coders as I was. I had at least enough fear in me to know how to write secure code and learned the hard way before there were SQL injections. I learned when they started happening. I lived through having to go through my code and double check everything and sanitize inputs so that SQL injection couldn't occur because I'm just that old. I'm older than a SQL injection. But all of these experiences brought me to a place where I got to know who I am and what is important to me. Writing the most secure code, not necessarily important to me, but something that I valued, that I value in other people now. But I am much more interested in empowering people, in getting people free of the limitations that they put on themselves, but the stories that they tell themselves, because I've seen what it can do for people. Watching my husband work with people and seeing how they fundamentally changed who they were, I know that we can recode ourselves just by thinking different, by reframing things, by communicating to our unconscious minds in a way that allows us to see things in new ways. And that's what I have always been passionate about. I just never thought I was the one that was able to do it. I just thought my husband was magical. But the more I started working with it and working with clients and guiding them through those experiences, the more I got to claim that part of myself. Think about it. Now I am one of one with all of these skills. I've adopted all of the things that I saw him do, all of the techniques I saw him do. I've learned them myself, so I've used them myself, and it has expanded who I am. And then I'm on the bleeding edge of who I am. We should all be living on the bleeding edge. Otherwise, you're just stagnating. There's something that you want. There's something that is waiting for you. If you want something, that thing wants you just as much. You just have to pull out the patterns that are blocking you from experiencing it. You're the one holding yourself back. And it's because of the stories you're telling yourself. It's because of the limitations that you have allowed yourself to believe. The number one limitation that we have to remove is that comparison to other people, that we're not good enough. When I go on LinkedIn and I see the people I went to college with, high school with, all of the people that I've collected over the years, or on Facebook, and I see what they've done with their lives, it's a natural inclination to just look at them and say, wow, they really stuck with that degree and took it to where it needed to go. I didn't do that. I should have done that. But they also didn't go explore a lot of the things that I did. I have two friends who are exceptionally successful financially, and I look at them, wow, I should have done more like that. But I look at them, and I also look at some of the hardships that they've endured. One of my friends, very, very financially successful, retired, has enough money to live on for the rest of her life, but her family life suffered. Her relationship with her husband suffered. She did not have a good home life, even though she was financially successful. Another friend, another person who was just eminently successful, went through a health crisis similar to my husband and isn't fully able to enjoy all that he's created. And I don't think I would trade who I am and the experiences that I've had, even being a caregiver for my husband, Mark. I wouldn't trade it for the world, because there are things in these hard experiences that inform me of what I am capable of and what is important to me. My values really, really get honed with hard experiences. With Mark, I realized that it's not just about his physical care, his medications, dealing with insurance companies. I've been ranting about that a bit on X. It's not all of that hardship as much as it is just caring for his heart and caring for who he is, because his mind was affected. His beautiful, amazing mind was affected, but his heart wasn't. His heart is even more present now. He held back a lot of his heart before, and now he can't. And so that's why I married him. His heart is what really drew me to him. The way he cared for people, not just me and our family, but the way he cared for everyone that came in contact with him. And that's all there. And that was something that I think before the stroke I didn't appreciate enough. And so my values have been changed. And interestingly, the more I care for his heart, the easier all of the other stuff becomes, because it anchors me into my why of why I am doing all of the hard things. And again, what that gives me is the ultimate in confidence, because not only have I taken care of him in the process of raising a teenager kind of on my own, a very precocious teenager who acts like she's in college already. Well, she kind of is in college already. She graduated early, but I am not catching up to everything she is after. All of the things I've done, taking care of this house, living in a place I don't necessarily enjoy living, everything that I've done career-wise, all of the things I've done, I can look at all of that and I know beyond any shadow of a doubt that whatever's thrown at me, I can handle it and I can achieve even more. But only if I'm fully expressing who I really am. If I go into that round hole where I don't belong, then everything falls apart. The calling to all of us is always to be more of who we really are and to be more in our heart space, care more, and express more. So if you are going through any kind of challenge with your career, I know a lot of people are. I don't know if it's AI or what's going on. I have conspiracy theories. But if you're going through it and you want to talk through who you are meant to be, I'm here for you. And you can book me for a free discovery call if coaching is something that you think you might want to dive into. It's just something that I enjoy doing. And honestly, I just like talking to people and learning about where they're at and helping them rediscover what's important to them. And I've got some interesting strategies on how to find a job. So I'd love to share those too. Anyway, that is it for this episode of ZANTASTIC. I hope you're feeling fantastic, because you are. Once you really allow yourself to be who you really are, once you can do that, miracles happen. Just reframe it. We'll see you next time.